Twice a year, something strange happens in your home, but only if you're quiet enough to notice. The air shifts. The light feels different, like it's searching for corners it hasn't touched in months. And maybe, just maybe, your house exhales. Most people don't realize it. But there are only 2 days a year when the energy in your home is perfectly balanced. When what's stuck can finally move, and what's heavy can quietly leave. It's not magic, it's not superstition, it's timing. And for decades, women in my circle, stylists, spiritual leaders, even real estate pros, have quietly practiced the same ritual on these 2 days. No crystals, no sage, no chanting. Just a glass of salt water, an open window, and a little intention. The strange part, it works. Not in a dramatic way, but in the kind of way that makes you sit down and suddenly realize you're not angry anymore. You're not tired in that old, sticky way. You feel clear. Most people miss this window. They don't even know it's there. But if you've been holding on to emotions that don't belong to you, or if your home has felt heavier than usual lately, this may be the moment to listen. Because your house remembers everything, even the things you've forgotten. And twice a year, it's willing to let them go. Part 1. What is this forgotten ritual? No one talks about the corners. The corners of the living room, behind the chair that never gets moved. The one in the bedroom where a suitcase half unpacked has sat for years. The dark pocket between the refrigerator and the wall. Most of us don't clean those places, not really. We clean what's visible, what's obvious. But energy, it settles in the quiet places. It gathers dust not just on objects, but on moments, on memories. And twice a year, there's a chance only twice to move it. The ritual I'm going to share with you doesn't come from a book. It's not spiritual doctrine. It's something passed between women quietly, humbly, because it works. I first heard about it from a stylist who worked with Oprah for years. She told me, there are 2 days I don't skip. Spring equinox and fall equinox. My house gets cleared. Period. I thought she meant cleaning. I was wrong. It was deeper. She said, when the earth balances, your house can too, but only if you help it. It begins with light. On the equinox, day and night are in perfect balance. Not leaning into the rush of summer. Not pulling into the sleep of winter. Still. It's the one moment the energy inside your home matches the balance outside. But that window is small. A few hours maybe. Miss it. And the next won't come for 6 months. The ritual is simple, almost too simple. That's why people overlook it. But its power is in its intention. First, you clean the 4 corners of your home. Not mop and vacuum cleaning. You get down on your knees and touch the forgotten parts. Behind doors. Under curtains. Near the floor vents. Places where energy has been trapped, waiting for a moment to move. Then, you open every window in your home. Let the light in. Let the air change. It doesn't have to be warm out. It just has to be moving. Still air holds old emotion. Fresh air wakes the room. Then, the heart of it. You take a clear glass of water. You stir in sea salt just enough to cloud it. You place it in the center of your home, wherever feels most alive. Then you light a white candle beside it. You don't pray. You don't chant. You wait. For 2 hours. You let the water do what it knows how to do, absorb. The salt will pull what's lingering in the air, unspoken sadness, fear, restlessness, exhaustion, and hold it, quietly. The flame, it keeps things honest. No hidden corners. No darkness left untouched. When I first tried it, I didn't believe in much. I was tired. I'd been carrying grief from a loss I never made space for. My house didn't feel heavy. It felt blank, silent in the wrong way. I followed the ritual. I cleaned like someone searching for something. I opened the windows. The candle flickered in a way that felt like breathing. 2 hours later, I threw the salt water outside. I didn't say anything. I didn't feel anything. Not yet. But that night, I slept deeply. Not long but real. The kind of sleep that doesn't pull you under but lifts you through. And the next morning, I stood in my kitchen and noticed nothing. And that nothing felt like peace. Here's the truth: your house remembers more than you think. It remembers the arguments that happened in hallways, the tears shed alone in bathrooms, the decisions made in whispers while stirring coffee, It holds those echoes. Most people walk through that noise every day and wonder why they feel tired, uninspired, or off-center. They change their routines, redecorate, take vitamins, but rarely do they consider the house itself. This ritual doesn't fix everything. It doesn't promise transformation. It doesn't need to. It simply creates space inside your home and inside you. Space to rest, space to breathe, space to let go of what's been stuck so long you forgot it was there. And the beauty? You don't need special tools. You don't need training, just time, just presence, just the willingness to believe that sometimes the smallest acts shift the deepest things. So when the next equinox comes, March or September, hear this: you have 2 chances a year to listen to your home and to let it release what it's been holding for you. Don't wait for a breakdown. Don't wait for things to feel unbearable. Sometimes, the invitation to clear doesn't shout. It whispers, through a breeze, a flickering candle, a glass of water holding more than it should. You don't need to understand it. You only need to try. Part 2: Why does it only work twice a year? You've probably walked through hundreds of days without noticing when the light changed. But twice a year, something shifts, and it's not just the weather. It's the stillness. A precise kind of quiet that doesn't belong to morning or night. On the spring and fall equinox, the world finds balance. Not metaphorically, literally. Equal hours of daylight and darkness. Equal pull of motion and rest. And while most people are focused on seasons changing outside, something much more personal is available inside a doorway. And it only opens twice. This is not about mysticism. It's about rhythm. Your body follows rhythms: your breath, your sleep, your heartbeat. Your home does too. And just like your breath pauses between inhale and exhale, there are days when your home holds a pause of its own. These 2 equinoxes are that pause, a still point in the wheel of the year, when nothing is rushing forward or pulling back, when the energy isn't building or releasing, it's waiting. And that waiting is the only time it will listen. Why does this matter? Because most of us try to shift things: our mood, our habits, our space, when the energy around us is either too heavy or too chaotic. We burn out in winter, try to restart in spring, sprint through summer, collapse in fall. But twice a year, the world gives us a breath, a balance, a moment where change doesn't need to fight gravity. And in that moment, your home becomes receptive. Not neutral, not passive, but ready. You may have noticed it before without knowing. A random day in March or September, where the light in your kitchen looked warmer, softer. A sudden urge to rearrange a drawer. A feeling that something inside you and around you was finally lined up. That's not coincidence. That's alignment. That's what this ritual catches. But it only works when it's quiet enough to hear. And in today's world, we've gotten loud. We rush our mornings. We multitask our evenings. We scroll through silence and talk over stillness. And that's why this ritual doesn't work just any day. Because it's not about what you do, it's about when you choose to pause. On the equinox, even nature slows down. Birds move differently. Shadows soften. The sun hangs in the sky like it's hesitating, undecided, suspended between seasons. And if you time it right, if you catch your house in that breath, it lets go of what it's been holding. The arguments, the fatigue, the clutter you didn't realize was emotional. But outside that window, the house forgets how to release. And you go back to pushing, trying, coping. This isn't about being spiritual. You don't have to believe in energy to feel it. Just remember how your body feels walking into a cluttered garage versus a clean living room. One makes you tense your shoulders. The other makes you exhale. That's not decoration, that's vibration. And on these 2 days, that vibration is soft, malleable, willing to be changed. That's why you don't need incense or fancy tools. Because the power isn't in the objects, it's in the timing. Water becomes a mirror. Salt becomes a filter. Light becomes a messenger. And your home becomes something it rarely gets the chance to be: a partner. Not just a place you live, but a place that heals alongside you. But here's the catch, and it's important. The equinox doesn't wait. It comes, it offers, and it passes. If you miss it, you don't break anything. But you do miss the ease. You miss the moment when change feels like surrender, not effort. And when you do the ritual outside that alignment, it still helps, but it doesn't reach as deep. Because the house isn't listening in the same way. It's busy holding itself up, just like you are in the middle of a busy season. Think of it this way: if you had something difficult to say to someone, you'd wait for the right time. You'd wait until they could hear you. That's what the equinox is. The moment your house, not your walls, but your home, can hear you say, "I'm ready to release this. I'm ready for peace. I'm ready to remember how light feels." Most people won't mark the date. They'll miss it while driving to the grocery store or checking their phone. But if you're watching this now, and something inside you stirs like recognition, like relief, then maybe this year is different. Maybe this is the year you stop pushing change on days that don't want it. Maybe this is the year you move with the rhythm, not against it. And all it takes is noticing the light, noticing the breath between seasons, and giving your home just for 2 hours a chance to let go. Part 3: Signs energy is stuck. Sometimes, it's not the clutter you can see, it's the stillness you can feel. You walk into a room and something feels off. Not wrong, not dangerous, just quiet in a way that doesn't comfort you. Heavy in a way that has no name, and you can't explain it to anyone. You just know. The air doesn't move, the light doesn't land. You might call it being in a funk or just tired. But often, it's not you, it's your space. And what you're feeling is stuck energy. The signs are subtle at first. A mirror that stays foggy long after the steam is gone. A chair in the corner no one sits in anymore, but no one moves either. A hallway that never feels warm, no matter how high the thermostat is set. You start losing things in the same drawer over and over. You feel more forgetful in one particular room. The dog won't sleep in the same spot he used to. These aren't coincidences. They're conversations your house is trying to have with you. And the language it speaks is tension, resistance, repetition. One of the most overlooked signs is fatigue that doesn't match your activity. You wake up after a full night's sleep, but feel like you barely rested. You move through your day, like you're wading through syrup, mentally alert, but emotionally dulled. That's not age. That's energy that hasn't moved in too long. Spaces that haven't been aired out. Decisions that were made in silence and never released. A kitchen that's been cleaned but never reset. A bathroom where grief once happened and the tiles still echo it. Take your living room. Look at where people naturally sit and where they avoid. If there's a spot on the couch that's always empty, even when the rest of the room is full, that's not random. That's memory. That space might be holding the residue of an old argument, a painful phone call, a long forgotten tension. And without ever realizing it, your body avoids it. You think it's about comfort. It's not. It's about weight. Bedrooms are another mirror, especially if they're clean, but never restful. If you've ever made your bed, fluffed your pillows, lit a candle, and still felt unsettled, you're not imagining it. Energy, like scent, lingers long after you think it should be gone. Maybe the window hasn't been opened in weeks. Maybe the nightstand holds items tied to a different version of yourself. One you no longer live in, but haven't said goodbye to. Maybe the floor under your bed hasn't been touched in years. These small things become big signals. The room might look peaceful, but something beneath it is unresolved. Even objects carry clues. A cracked vase you keep because it was a gift, even though it no longer brings joy. A stack of books you promised you'd read but never will. A broken lamp that you keep just in case. These aren't just items, they're placeholders for unspoken feelings, regret, obligation, guilt, and the energy they create is one of delay, of pause without breath. You keep them thinking they're harmless, but they whisper stories every time you walk past them. Stories you've outgrown but haven't released. Sometimes, the house tells you through your body. You notice you always get a headache in the home office. Your shoulders tense when you sit in a certain chair. You feel irritable in the kitchen, even when nothing is wrong. This isn't about superstition, it's about sensory memory. Your body remembers what your mind has dismissed, and the space reflects it back. None of this is meant to alarm you. Quite the opposite. It's meant to remind you that your home is more than structure. It's memory, rhythm, reflection. And just like our bodies need rest, our spaces need release. Stuck energy doesn't mean something is broken. It just means something has paused and forgotten how to move again. That's why the ritual we talked about earlier matters. Because you don't need to identify every memory, every emotion, every object that holds weight. You just need to invite movement. And light. And breath. The ritual doesn't erase, it clears. It doesn't deny what happened, it makes room for what comes next. So ask yourself, where in your home do you avoid standing still? What drawer, what corner, what chair feels like silence instead of peace? What object are you keeping out of guilt, not joy? These are not questions to answer all at once, they're invitations. To notice, to pause, and to listen not just to your mind, but to the room around you. Because stuck energy isn't loud, it's quiet. It hides in routines, in corners, in unspoken patterns. But once you start to see it, you can't unsee it. And once you name it, even silently, it begins to move. Your home is not asking you to fix everything. It's asking you to pay attention. And sometimes, that's all it takes for the energy to shift and for the space to become yours again. Part 4: A celebrity's quiet practice. She never announced it, never posted it, never even called it a ritual. But behind closed doors, on 2 quiet days every year, Sarah Jessica Parker does something most people wouldn't expect from a Hollywood icon. No stylists, no crew, just her, a glass of salt water, and an open window. She shared this once, not in an interview, but in a side note, almost an afterthought. Someone had asked her how she resets between intense film projects, between family, business, and the constant pull of public life. She smiled and said, "I don't go anywhere. I go home." Then paused and added, "But I don't go back into it until I've cleared it first." That was the first time I heard her describe her practice done quietly, always on the spring and fall equinox. For her, it's not about energy work or ceremony. It's about recovery. She explained that after months of carrying stories that weren't hers, characters, roles, noise, she needed to return to a space that was truly silent. Not just quiet in sound, but quiet in feeling. So she'd open every window in her apartment, place a small glass bowl of water, mixed with sea salt in the center of the room, light a single white candle, and wait. She wouldn't answer emails. She wouldn't touch her phone. She wouldn't even speak. 2 hours of stillness, twice a year, and the result wasn't dramatic. No instant clarity, no spiritual awakening. Just a moment where the home felt different, like it had released something heavy. "I never know what it cleared," she said. "But I always feel a little less angry after. A little less sharp. Like my house gave me permission to stop holding everything." That moment stayed with me. Because here was a woman whose life was anything but simple business meetings, red carpets, raising daughters under the microscope of celebrity. And yet, her most sacred ritual was one that cost nothing. Used no apps. Asked nothing of anyone else. Just a bowl of water, just the air. Just enough time to let her space breathe before she did. And isn't that what so many of us crave? Not noise, not more self-improvement, but space. A moment to step back into ourselves, not as mothers, or wives, or caretakers, but as women who've lived, who've held others, and who need holding too. What Sarah understood, and what so many of us forget, is that your home can only hold you if it's been emptied first. Not of things, but of tension, of noise, of all the invisible burdens that settled into the furniture while you were too busy to notice. This practice isn't reserved for celebrities. In fact, the quieter your life, the more powerful it becomes. You don't need a sprawling apartment in New York. You don't need designer candles. You just need one moment of real pause. You need the willingness to open a window, not just to let air in, but to let the residue out. And when you do, something shifts. Maybe not in that hour, maybe not for days, but the air feels different. The mirror reflects more softly. The silence no longer feels empty, it feels sacred. like something has moved, even if you can't name it. So if someone like Sarah Jessica Parker, surrounded by constant noise, chooses this kind of quiet, maybe there's something there. Maybe the most glamorous thing we can do is make space for stillness. Maybe the most powerful way to reclaim our energy is to let our home release its own. And maybe this year, when the equinox comes again, you'll try it. Not because it's trendy, not because it's guaranteed, but because there's something beautifully human about doing what women have always done: making room, clearing space, and trusting that sometimes the most invisible things are the ones that heal us the most. Part 5: How to do the ritual correctly. You don't need incense. You don't need bells. You don't need to believe in anything you can't touch. What you need is a window, a moment, and a willingness to listen to the silence in your home and give it a chance to breathe. This ritual isn't about rules, it's about rhythm. And when done at the right time, in the right way, it doesn't just clear the room, it clears something in you. Let's begin with the timing, because this ritual only reaches its full depth on 2 specific days: the spring equinox, usually around March 20, and the fall equinox, around September 22. These aren't arbitrary dates, they're moments of perfect balance between day and night. Energy, light, and breath all pause, just for a while. That's when the house listens best. That's when the release flows easily, without force. If you miss that exact day, the energy window may linger a day or 2 before or after, but the closer you are, the more effortless the shift. Here's what you'll need. First, a clear glass or bowl, something simple and unpatterned. Fill it with fresh, clean water and stir in sea salt, just enough that it turns slightly cloudy. Salt isn't symbolic here, it's functional. It pulls, it filters, it absorbs. Then, find a white candle, any size. What matters is that it's unscented and uncolored. The white keeps the energy neutral. You'll also need a quiet space, not perfectly clean, not styled for Instagram, just quiet enough to hear what your space might be holding. Before you begin, open as many windows as you can. Even if it's cold, even if it's raining, even if it's just an inch. The point is to let the air change, let the energy move. Still air holds on. Moving air releases. You don't have to open them all at once, just enough to shift the current. Now, begin by gently wiping the 4 corners of your home. Not every room. Just 4 meaningful points, places that tend to gather dust, go unnoticed, or feel stagnant. Think under a table, behind a door, the corner where old magazines pile up, or where the baseboard has yellowed. Use a damp cloth or even your hand. As you wipe, don't speak, don't analyze. Just notice what that corner holds. You're not cleaning for tidiness, you're loosening what's been stuck. Next, place the glass of salt water in a central spot in your home. It doesn't have to be exact. Let your instinct guide you. Some choose the dining room table, others, the hallway. Some even use the floor because energy, like emotion, settles low. Set the white candle next to the glass and light it. This isn't about ceremony, it's about presence. The flame represents light you're choosing to bring in. The water holds what you're choosing to let go. You don't need to say anything. You don't need to set intentions, just be. Now, step back. For the next 2 hours, let it be. Don't clean, don't talk, don't scroll. Just let the air move. Let the water hold. Let the house release, in its own quiet way. You might notice something strange, a change in the light, a shift in the way the room feels, or a sudden wave of calm. Or you might notice nothing at all. That's okay. The work is happening anyway. When the 2 hours are over, extinguish the candle gently, don't blow it out. Dispose of the salt water outside if you can, or pour it down the drain with intention. Thank it, not out loud, unless you want to. Just inside. A quiet thank you is enough. You're not thanking the object, you're thanking the release. There are no perfect steps here, no mistakes. What matters is your presence, your pause, your willingness to make space. Not just physically but emotionally. Because what you're really clearing isn't dust, it's residue. The conversations that hung in the air too long. The resentment that settled into the couch cushions. The memory you tried to forget, but never gave your home permission to let go of. This ritual won't fix everything. It's not a cure, it's not a solution, but it is a shift, a reset, a gentle realignment that reminds both your body and your space that light is still possible. That air can still move. That release doesn't always have to be loud. And maybe most important of all, this ritual gives your home a role in your healing. Not just as background, but as witness, as support, as something that breathes alongside you. So when the next equinox arrives, whether in spring's early warmth or autumn's soft retreat, don't wait for the perfect day or mood. Just open a window, pour the salt, light the candle, and let the letting go begin. Final. If you've made it here, if you've listened, not just with your ears, but with that quiet part of you that always knows, then something in you is ready. Not for change that comes crashing in, but for a release so gentle, it almost feels like memory. We've spent this time together not just talking about a ritual, but remembering something our bodies and homes have always known, that stillness can heal if we let it. That a glass of water, touched by salt and flame, can do what words sometimes can't. That twice a year, the world holds its breath and your home, your heart, your story, all have a chance to let go. This isn't superstition, it's rhythm, it's nature's offering. And science will tell you too, our environments shape our nervous system. The air we breathe, the light that touches our skin, the spaces we return to every day, they hold power. They hold memory. And they also hold the potential for renewal, if we are willing to clear what no longer belongs. So maybe the invitation here is simple: to see your home, not as a shell, but as a companion, to notice the silence between the noises, to allow one small act done at the right time to open a window inside of you that hasn't been opened in years. Thank you for spending this time with me, for trusting this whisper of a ritual, for giving your home and yourself the grace of release. And wherever you are right now, whether in a house full of motion or in a room that's held too many quiet nights, I hope you feel this truth. You are not behind, you are not late, you are right on time to begin again. Until next time, may your space be light, your breath be steady, and may you never forget your home remembers everything, but it also knows how to let go.